Okay, I'm back.
Alrighty, let me just double check something. Oh, that's not what I want.
Okay, it was certain matchups, just a couple of questions on them.
Okay, what matchup specifically were giving you the trouble?
I'd say the worst would probably be Corin. It's pretty bad. Rob is a really bad one.
Yeah, okay.
And
Hmm?
more fast reflectors, if I can say
Are you talking like Mewtwo, Falco? Oh, Zelda's? Okay.
Yeah, Palutena type, Falco, Fox.
Gotcha. Alright, so for Corrin and Rob, I definitely can understand how those matchups are really frustrating. Corrin especially. Rob is one of those matchups that can be hard, but if you play it right, it gets a lot easier. So to start, I'll start with like Corrin, right? So you want to, there's like 3 zones you're gonna go into the matchup, right? There's the long range, the mid range, and the close range, right? So long range, that's usually like full screen. You know, you're throwing your Pikmin, you know, like normal, and that's usually like the distance that when the game first starts, and that's when you'll start throwing Pikmin at them or whatever you want, right? And someone's got to approach. So at that range, you have an edge over Corrin because she doesn't. The only way she can reach you is to use the Dragon Fang shot. So what you can do at this range is you can use that time to throw Pikmin onto her, force an approach out of her, and then also make her kill your Pikmin to get your purples, because purples are going to allow you to pressure her more consistently, right? They're going to allow you to approach her while putting out a hitbox that's not committal, because, you know, you'll throw the purple side B, and then you're kind of free to act in addition to it.
Yeah.
So there's the that range, and then when you get into the mid-range, and this is normally where Olimar thrives, because against most characters you've got pivot grab, forward smash, things like that, right? This is your weakest area against Corrin, because you have, where you normally would have these options, she has Instapin, or F-Smash, right? Just real quick, before I start the game, I just want to keep breaking down these topics, and then we'll get into some games, alright?
Okay.
So with Corrin, you're gonna... You need to try and be out of that mid-range area the most, because that's the area where you're going to get pinned a lot. And pin, I believe, is unreactable if she's already in the air. It might be maybe reactable on the ground, but I'm not 100% sure on it. And it's also almost safe on shield 9 times out of 10, because when she does it, like, let's say you're holding shield, she pins your shield, and then she kicks away. Olimar can't punish that if she's got the full distance of a kick. At most, you can short hop side B, and it might reach her. And most of the time, they'll just kill it. So it's not entirely unpunishable if it's spaced properly. It's just very little. Usually, it's going to result in a reset back to neutral, because you've disengaged. You've kind of gone back to that long-range distance. And then you're going to start working from there again. If they pin and there's less distance between, you know, maybe the edge of the stage is closer and they can't go as far, that's when you can punish, because they don't get to fly as far. But that mid-range is where you want to watch out, because that pin is going to really mess you up. You know, you're not going to be able to grab them as much, because that's just going to beat it out. Your forward smash isn't going to do as much work. So you want to try to avoid that. That means...
Okay, see, and I'm usually at about a mid-range majority of the match.
Yeah, and that's because...
And I think a lot of Corns try to bait that out. Like, they'll bait out, you know, trying to punish that side B, knowing it can't... Yeah, I think that's like a majority of the neutral losing like that.
It's because naturally, you keep going back there, because that's Olimar's normal go-to zone. You're like, all right, I'm right out of everyone's range, I can pivot grab them. But with Corrin, you're going to have to kind of force yourself to adjust to that. You're going to want to do the long range, kind of minimize the time that you're in the mid-range. And you can make the mid-range better. I think Purple Pikmin, especially Double Purple, really helps with that, because you're able to side B, kind of force them to respond to that, and then kind of transition from the mid-range to the close range. It helps bridge that gap and make it a bit less intimidating, right? Because sometimes, I don't know if you've ever had this interaction, but where you'll purple side B and someone will grab you at the same time, and they'll grab you, but then your side B will break their grab. Yeah, so you can do the same thing with pin, actually. So she pins you, and assuming it's not the tipper that makes you fly away, but like you're stuck into the ground, She can do that, and if your side B is timed right, it can hit her right after she pins you and knock her out, and you just fall out of the pin.
Whoa, see, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so that can add an additional layer of protection, and that's why being kind of like short hopping with it is also good, because when you short hop, that puts you higher up, so that when they short hop pin, it's less likely that they're going to tipper you, because you're kind of staying at equal level with them. Because normally when they tipper you, they're at the elevated height because they just jumped and they did it, and it goes that diagonal down.
Yeah, usually a short hop.
Yeah, so if you short hop, it's going to help you do it with the purples. So you're going to want to try and minimize the mid range and get up to the close range. The close range, I think we actually do quite well in. We have a solid boxing game with jab and down tilt, right? Jab is frame 4, jab 1-2 is really good. It's not necessarily safe on shield all the time, but you can use it as a quick option to knock them away and start a combo. Down tilt's good because it can cross up their shield, and it will, it can keep them on their toes. And then even a cross up short hop nair, so like you're right in front of them, they're holding shield or something like that, or you're in their face, just short hop nair and cross them up. And most characters can't punish from behind immediately.
Okay. And would you challenge, I believe it's Corrin's neutral B, where she shoots a fireball and it's like a...
Then it does the bite?
Yeah.
Alright, so...
Would you challenge that?
The way you want to look at that is, most of the time if they're going to do it, don't worry about it, just let them do it and then punish the lag. Like, you can block Corrin's neutral B with a Pikmin. It's like just like a Samus charge shot or a Lucario Aura Sphere, right? Like, your Pikmin will block it. Yeah. So... if you want, you see them charging it and you're at a distance where maybe you can close the gap and get to them, just maybe like throw a Pikmin real quick, have it on the ground, or F smash, have it there to block it, let them bite, and then you can run in and you can get a grab, or you can forward air, or you can do something else. Assuming you don't like power shield it or something, and then you get a free punish. Okay. Alternatively, you can whistle it. It's just a bit of a ballsy play, because if you mess it up, it might kill you, depending how strong the bite is. So that's something you want to be careful about. But when you're up close, you want to don't be afraid to outbox them. Keep yourself moving. You don't want to stagnate and stay in one spot, because when you stay in one spot, it's most likely you're in shield because you don't want to get hit, and that's when they're going to grab you. Because Corrins, they like to scare you into shield because they're so strong at that mid range. They have such explosive kill power, and that's where they get the grabs. And they might not get any combos off the grabs per se, but having 2 kill throws, being down throw and up throw, and then having just a strong juggle game, they want to put you in that disadvantage. So try to elevate the speed at which you're playing, so you're constantly moving and not giving them a super hard, super easy time in punishing you. Later on, I will I don't know if you've seen them or not, but when I send you the write up later, I'll put in a couple sets for some of these matchups that you said you were struggling with, of examples of play that might help you get an idea of what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So you just wanna try and outbox them up close, and then get your combos. Corrin takes down throw raw bear very, very easily. Get them knocked back, and then kind of just like cycle between that up close game, the close quarters, and then the long range, and then minimize the mid range. A couple other key things you want to keep in mind. Corrin's counter is actually absurd. It has 1 frame of lag. So if you do want to punish it, like let's say you have a Pikmin on them and they counter it, right? If you do want to punish it, the only thing I recommend trying to punish it is a grab. Kind of sit outside the range of the hitbox, let it happen, and then while the animation's finishing, you can run in with a grab, and your dash grab, and your grab will linger there. So during that 1 frame, because your grab's active for 8 or 9 frames, I believe. I can't remember the exact number, but it's one of those. Your grab will linger there, and on that 1 frame they're vulnerable, you'll be able to grab them. Other times, just don't worry about punishing it. And in that same mindset, be careful about approaching them with side B. If you have a Pikmin on them, treat it kind of like Witch Time, right? Where there's like a Pikmin on them, or if you're doing a lot of side B while you're approaching, be like, all right, maybe I'll, short hop side B and then immediately whistle it back or something to bait out the counter, but not always approach with it on them, because that can end up getting you killed when they punish it, right?
Yeah.
So, the other big thing is to keep in mind is don't try to punish them at the ledge. When they're recovering, unless you're confident you can like run off and fair them while they're still coming back from the blast zone, don't feel obligated to try and down tilt them, down smash them at the ledge. Their up B is so good because of the hitboxes in the upper body, intangibility or invincibility, whichever one it is. The way their up B is built, unless they misspace it wrong, you can't punish it.
So you wouldn't try to go for the spike?
No, it's literally not worth it. You'll hit it maybe like 5% of the time, because they have so much flexibility with the angles they can go at. They can go up, they can go left or right. They've got a lot of movement, plus the massive hitboxes. So instead of trying to ledge guard them and do that, maybe go over to ledge, and then ledge trap them, holding shield, seeing what they do from there. Maybe like trying to outlast their ledge invincibility and then down tilting them. Things like that. It's alright. Even if you're not super comfortable with that, go to center stage, chuck some Pikmin, let them get back, and start outplaying them in neutral again. This is one of those matchups where you're going to have to be confident in your ability to do that, because you're going to be resetting a lot, because you can't always press your advantage against Corrin.
Okay, see, my best bet will probably be like a down smash or a down tilt.
Yeah. Just be careful with doing it, because they can, drop down from ledge counter. So that's why I'm saying be a bit careful on the ledge about how you're approaching it and how you're trying to punish them, because you don't always have an option. Sometimes it's alright to just maybe hold shield at the ledge and then kind of react to what they do. At most, they'll like drop down and then jump side B or jump aerial, and then you can usually punish that, or they'll kick away or something like that, You don't always have to try and force your way into the a heavier advantage state. And the last important thing I want to talk about for this matchup specifically is with the landing, because Corrin juggles us pretty well. Whistle's really important, but it's not a perfect option, because the way Corrin falls, her fall speed, and how her hitboxes work, they're pretty big, right? Like her up air is a long sweep, and it lasts a while, and it also, it doesn't have a ton of lag, so a lot of times they'll like up air, and then they'll immediately neutral air. You can air dodge, up B, kind of like a third jump, and whistle are your three go-to options to kind of avoid those. But if you notice you're not having a good time with that, like you're still getting like, frame trapped into like an up air dodge it into like a nair or something to get popped back up, don't be afraid to immediately dip back to the ledge. Yeah, it's a different type of game where you can be punished there, but it's a lot easier. At the ledge, they're hitting you horizontally where they do have good kill power, but it's not nearly as oppressive as the up air nair frame traps.
Okay.
Alternatively, like I was saying earlier, using the up B as like a third jump, you could have them bait out like the up air. You up B immediately, and then you like fast fall dare, fast fall up air real quick, and drift to the side of them. So you're not necessarily hitting them, but you're just like doing it real quick to use an aerial that's fast that you'll get out of there, and you can fall to the left and then auto cancel it and land on the ground and kind of regain your footing. Was there any other, oh, I didn't mean to start that. Was there any other questions specifically you had about Corrin that you think I didn't touch down upon or that you want to know about?
No, I covered about most of the questions I had, punishment.
Okay. Yeah, when I send you the videos later, they should hopefully do a good job of kind of breaking down what I was talking about and how you can go about punishing things and fighting Corrin in neutral.
Okay.
If you want, we can play a game, and I can just get an idea of what your Olimar is, and then after, like, 1 or 2 games, I can touch down on Rob.
Okay, we can do that. Let's see.
All right, so just off the bat, something I noticed. I feel like sometimes when you were fighting the Mario specifically, when I was at the ledge, I was trying to recover. You would immediately try and do something, and you wouldn't kind of account for the fact that I might just come at you with like a sex kick, like a frame 3 nair, right? With a character like Mario specifically, and one similar to him, since they have such fast, like lingering options like that nair, kind of use your positioning to bait out that option, and then instead of trying to hit them, maybe retreat with a pivot grab and catch them landing. Like, you kind of stood there and you looked like you were able to be hit with that nair, but then when they come in with it, you kind of adjust, dip back, and then like pivot grab or pivot F smash, right? Because you can't challenge the options head on a lot of the time. You want to use your positioning as a way to trick them into attacking you.
Okay, I see.
And that's, like, if you're able to move fast, it's going to help you a lot more in how you can, like, react to these things and keep them on their toes. And that, like, I'm a big advocate for Olimar's playing really fast. Not necessarily aggressive, but just, like, not wasting movement, knowing what you're doing, you know, keeping yourself hard to pin down. Because when you play a character that's naturally slow, it's really easy for your opponent to just kind of run a train on you. But if you're able to keep your movement fast and consistent, you're going to have a much easier time, like, weaving around them and punishing their things. And it's going to make them have a much more difficult time trying to pin you down. Like, right, that's, you know, I know a lot of Olimars don't like the Sheik matchup, or they don't like, you know, the Cloud matchup, but, like, they're not that bad just because they're fast, right? There are other things that are much more problematic than the opponent having speed. And once you're able to kind of pick up your speed with the character, you're going to be able to do a lot more, and you're going to be able to string things together more and play the character at a much faster rate than most would expect.
Okay.
So when you're fighting a character like Mario, yeah, just try and keep in mind, like, the hitboxes he has, the speed at which he can throw them out, and how little lag they have. Like, this can be a bit of a daunting matchup if you're not 100% sure on how to, like, deal with his hitboxes. But once you familiarize yourself with, like, what he can do, what's safe and what's not safe, it gets much easier.
Okay, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
And it seems I had a harder time at, like, killing at higher percents.
Yeah.
Can I go for kills earlier?
I mean, if you're, like, you just don't want to fish for anything, right? Like, if they're at, like, down throw raw bear kill percent, you want it, but you don't want to fish for it. And that's something that's important to keep in mind. Because, you know, like, if you have a red Pikmin and your opponent sees you starting to fish for, like, pivot grab, they probably know what you're going to go for. So you can try and position, like, play it with it, but don't force it. You know, kind of shift up your style, maybe start trying to find more openings for the grabs, but if they're not happening, it's alright. Just, you need to be comfortable in playing a long game with Olimar if it's not happening naturally.
Okay.
You see, I'm just like using a lot of hitboxes to negate your hard-hitting moves like the smashes and aerials when I'm approaching because I'm not super scared.
Yeah, I see it.
You wanna try and since you know the opponent's gonna want to do that a lot when they play a character like this, you want to use a lot of like whiffed aerials or something to like bait it out, not try and hit them, but get them to use something like that and then punish.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't have a jump.
And would you be like against banning reds? Like I don't really use reds too much. I just recently adopted that. Like I used to use them like evenly.
Yeah.
But now I'm like really hard against using reds like in bracket.
You shouldn't. You definitely should never actively go out of your way to like discard Pikmin. I should say. Like, let me preface that though. So the only time you'll catch me, there's 2 times when you'll catch me discarding Pikmin, like throwing them off stage purposefully. I'll do it one in between stocks if I want a certain lineup. So like, let's say I just take yours and I have a red, but I want like a blue, white, purple. I'll get rid of that. I almost always get rid of reds in between stocks because at low percents, they're the least useful in my opinion. And then the only other time that I'll really dip a Pikmin in the middle of like a stock is if I'm fighting someone, it's getting to high percent or something, and I cannot really seem to kill them any other way, and like, let's say I want blues, specifically so I can have more Pikmin to start finding the grabs, right? Like, I want to make sure that when I have an opening, I won't have a different color, I'll have a blue, you know?
Okay, yeah.
Other than that, I don't really, you'll never see me throw my Pikmin away. Now, that's not to say that you shouldn't do it. If you don't like a certain color, don't use it. You know, that's one of the nice things about Olimar, you kind of have a lot of flexibility in how you go about it. Every Pikmin is... of course, better at certain things, but if you can build a style that works for you with your Pikmin, go for it. Reds are my least useful. The biggest things I do with them are the down throw, raw bear, and up airs, and then like fire immunity, and then they'll kind of like pseudo purples when I don't have a purple because they hit harder than anything else aside from purple, right? So when I don't have a purple, I might use them for the kill power until I can get one, but most of the time I don't really care for them. Like, if I had to rank the Pikmin in an order I want them, it would be purple, blue, yellow, white, red. I like blues and purples the most, as you'd expect. Blues do a ton of grab damage and have the kill throws. Purples just hit really hard and have the purple side B potential. So, you can build your style if you want. I don't recommend just like when you start the game throwing off a color. It just goes against how I like to manage Pikmin, but I know Shuton does it with yellows. As long as you're not getting punished for it, I guess it's fine. The way I like to manage my Pikmin at the start of a game, though, is instead of throwing them off the stage, I'll throw them at my opponent and force them to deal with them and kind of make them like filter my lineup for me to the colors I want. And then when I get the colors I want, the lineup I want, I'll shift my playstyle. Like I'll do, I'll side B a lot more, kind of make them kill them. And then it's like the moment I pluck that first or second purple, now I can shift to a more aggressive style that doesn't give them nearly the same amount of opportunities to hit my purple Pikmin when I'm throwing them, and also lets me put out more pressure.
Okay, I see.
All right.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So we can do one more game real quick, and then I can give you some pointers on the Rob matchup, if that's all right.
Okay, yeah, that'll be cool. And is there like certain text or like certain tools that you believe all Olimar mains like must have tools? Like it's a must have?
It's not. There's nothing that's like a must have except for whistling, in my opinion. Like getting good and efficient with whistle is an important thing because it's actually sometimes the only way you're going to land, you know, or recover.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think if you can learn how to use desyncs, like desync smashes, off like your opponent's hitboxes, I think that's gonna do you a lot of good. But it's not necessary. Like, don't worry about like learning all these new techs before you kind of understand the character on a more basic level. I think you don't want to overwhelm yourself with information that might be pseudo situational. Oh, I just killed myself. When you're not even able to like, you know, get in the situations a lot of the time.
Okay, I see what you're saying. And do you be reverse often?
Like the pluck?
Like to recover or, you know, falling out of a combo?
Yeah. I'll do it then, and I also do it when, like, a lot of the times, if you watch my videos or see me play Olimar, I will short hop side B, and then I'll immediately B reverse pluck to stop myself so I can, like, jump forward and throw my Pikmin without having to, and then I can immediately, like, B reverse back and not lose my state, and not, like, force myself to go in and maintain my distance. So it's like short hop pluck and then immediately B reverse back, keep myself back in the same spacing I was at while being able to throw my Pikmin forward.
And where do you feel like is Olimar's like best stage?
I think it's situational depending on the matchup, but I would say either Battlefield or Final Destination.
Okay.
Because they both have very big pros, and kind of small cons. But like, you know, if you're fighting a Sonic who's got absurd mobility, I think FD's better because they don't have the platforms to run. But if you're fighting a character like Sheik, where, you know, maybe you want some platforms to help cover yourself from an aerial approach and increase your ability to live, then I think, you know, Battlefield's better. Or if you're fighting a character who doesn't have a very good approach game, like, I think FD is a fantastic stage when fighting Mario, because it gives you so much room to run and kind of pivot grab a lot of his landings, because he has to approach just through like running and jumping. He doesn't have like a spin dash or anything like that, right? So you have all this room to kind of retreat, catch his landings, and force the distance. Not to say Battlefield's bad, but like I think it's you know, you can work FD's stage length and strengths to your better to what you're doing. All right, so just touching down on Rob, the matchup can be kind of frustrating because of how like difficult it can be to constantly shield and deal with gyro and laser. But what the big things you want to watch out for are, one, be prepared to like grab gyro. You know, hold it, use it for additional shield pressure. If you can get 2 purples, it's gonna help you a ton, because once you have 2 purples, say you grab gyro, you can still put out good pressure with the 2 purples alone, right? Good shield pressure, and then you still have gyro. So it doesn't, you know, you don't have to use an aerial or a smash or anything because you've got the side Bs in addition to your movement. So you can hold on to gyro, and then he's kind of forced to approach.
Right, eliminates a whole tool.
Yep, and even in certain circumstances too, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, if you're holding an item and you up B, you can still cancel your up B with an aerial and not throw the item.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah, so that can be a way if you need to really use an aerial and you don't want to throw gyro. But if you do get the 2 purples, like, you can just put out so much pressure. Or, you know, you have gyro in hand, you have 2 purples. Let's say you just like threw 1 purple on a shield. Then you maybe throw gyro down because you just got above him, and then you immediately land on top of him, do like a double hit down smash. That might break his shield. You can apply a lot of different safe pressure with that because the item throws are so good. Another important thing is when he throws out gyro and it's on the ground, you can throw a Pikmin onto it, and the Pikmin will latch onto gyro. And what that does is, when he picks up gyro, he will, if the Pikmin's on it, it will hit the gyro and it will cause very minor hit stun to him. Which means it can mess up his buffer windows, and it can mess up his movement. Because it ticks, and it causes minor hit stun consistently, and it just messes them up. And that can ruin it can ruin their item throws. It can ruin so much stuff. So if he's grabbing gyro, throw a Pikmin on it. Now if he grabs it, he's in a terrible spot, right? So that's a way that you can make his own gyro kind of a liability for him.
Okay, cool.
What though would you say is are the big issues in that matchup that's giving you a lot of trouble?
I would say spacing. Spacing is like a really bad thing with Rob. It just always seemed like it's in Rob's favor.
It can be difficult to
I usually try to stay mid. Sorry, I usually try to stay like mid to close range. And it just seems.
Yeah, it can definitely be stressful just because his down tilt's really good poke tool. His nair is really annoying to punish because I have like no lag. Just do the things I was saying earlier with gyro, and it should help you a bit to kind of negate that option for him. Up close, your jabs and down tilts are really good to just kind of outbox him because he really only has down tilt. If you notice his nairs are very difficult for you to punish, like because the lag, try and throw a Pikmin onto him before and then kind of get into the spacing where he starts nairing, and that's going to give his nair more lag when he hits that Pikmin, right? So that's going to help you a bit in that regard. And then don't be afraid to like just get up in his face and outbox him. You know, you've got good tools, and once you get his gyro, even if you want to throw it the other way, he's kind of got an approach. You can catch him with pivot grabs and stuff. So you're able to kind of like force him to play your game. And going back to what I said prior, if the if you can elevate the speed at which you're playing Olimar, it's going to make it a lot harder for him to pin you down, and you're going to be kind of like jumping around him a lot, you know, kind of giving him trouble in how he's able to fight you. And then that's going to make it much harder for you to get hit and much harder for him to hit, deal with you, because you're hitting him from a bunch of different areas and you're never staying in one spot for too long.
Okay.
It's definitely a frustrating matchup at times, but you can mitigate it a lot, but just by working gyro in your favor and then not letting him just, you know, throw projectiles at you for free.
Dang, see, it's just a bad habit to throw him off.
No, it's alright, man.
I didn't even want to do that.
It's all good. If it's something you wanna change, that's fine. You'll be able to change it. If not, then, you know, whatever. As long as like it's not being a detriment to your play, just work with the lineup you want. I'm always an advocate for purple just because they're so strong. But you know, if you look at Shuton, he doesn't use them nearly to the same degree as I do.
Right.
You gotta watch out for the rolls there. So I pressured your shield front facing, and then you rolled back where the up smash starts. It's better to roll outwards and disengage, because Mario doesn't have a great way to catch you except like a dash grab, a dash attack, or something. Like, he's not gonna be able to hit you nearly as hard if you're spacing away from him.
Okay.
Nice attack. Also, at higher percent, if you grab someone with a blue and they're nearing kill percent, don't be afraid to pummel it once or twice. It's so good, and it can really make the difference between having to reset to neutral or not.
Okay.
So,
and it would be, I'm trying to think of how to word this. What would you say is like some good tools that you would use to kind of relieve pressure? I guess at mid to high percent. You know, the enemies on you. They, you know.
So you're at the mid-high percent there, and they're like kind of like gunning you down, really trying to get you into a bad spot.
Yeah.
So you don't have anything super amazing, so you really just have to kind of let me think of how to word this properly. You have to use the most fundamental tools to your disposal. Like power shielding is single-handedly his best option for almost everything, right? It is so, even just shielding in general a lot of the time. You know, don't, like, if someone hits your shield, you don't immediately have to drop shield. Shield once or twice, and unless they have, like, a kill throw, let them throw you, you know, if they have to. I always say if Olimar's not dead, the match is still even. Because Olimar is explosive with rage, and not necessarily how he jank kills people, but just his kill power. Like, a good rage forward smash at 40 near the ledge, someone's dying. So power shielding is your first and foremost best option for dealing with pressure. If you can really kind of like tighten up your movement, it's gonna help you just barely dodge things. So those two things to begin with are kind of gonna help you alleviate some of the pressure. But secondly, you could try to, let's say you're fighting a Mario, right? And he's coming at you and he's approaching with aerials. If maybe you don't have, you know, your pivot grabs aren't working, you could try just a short hop nair and maybe get it out before he gets his hitbox out. You know? That's something I like to do a lot of sword characters, especially before they get their entire attack out. I'll run up and I'll short hop nair. Or I'll fight a Sheik and I'll just run up short hop nair. It's such a good option that a lot of them don't expect. And since it's a nair, it's not going to trade because it's not using your or it won't clank because it's not using your Pikmin. Okay. So getting your attack out before them can help a lot, you know, because they don't always expect you to swing back immediately. So if you kind of just pull that trigger, that's going to help you a lot. So just really power shielding, kind of like getting really precise movement and kind of just micro-spacing yourself right in and out of things is going to help a lot. And then the other kind of more standard stuff like whistles, pivot grabs, and stuff are going to help you a lot. If someone's approaching, you could try, if they're not directly on you, you could try anti-airing them with down tilt or nair as well. Not nair, down tilt or up tilt as well, because those have good disjoints above them. You could run under them and then just like try and get away. You could, if they're approaching on the ground, you could run and dash attack them and kind of catch them off guard. You just really need to keep your options mixed up and try to not like force yourself into one habit, like rolling all the time. Because as good as Olimar's roll is, and trust me, I love it. You know, when it gets predictable, it gets predictable. You know, you fault in the guys where you roll one too many times and they catch you with an up smash. So just using.
Yeah, Olimar mains love to roll.
Yeah. It's unfortunately there's not like a bouncing fish or something you can get out of there with Olimar, but he's very straightforward in how you use him. You just need to get creative on how you mix it up. So yeah, just really like using your nair, short hop nair to kind of get a hitbox onto them before they get it. Use, power shielding is the most important thing. And then sometimes you don't even get a punish off power shields. You don't. You just get to reset back to neutral. You know, it's such an important way though to help you stay safe. Is there any other characters you want me to play?
Do you have a Yoshi?
I think I have one.
He's pretty difficult.
Yeah, he can definitely be troublesome. I think the best way to deal with him is to really just get double purples, because until you have purples, you don't have a way to kind of stop him from running at you with the aerials and stuff like that. But if you have purples, you kind of have one you can throw at him, one or two that you can throw at him before he gets to you, and it forces him to deal with it.
Ooh.
See, that was a good nair.
And would you say like short hop, air dodging is like a good mix up? I do it sometimes, you know, just like as a mix up.
Yeah, it can help. Yeah, honestly, just implementing like basic strategies like that a lot of the time can take you a long way.
Okay.
So I definitely see what you were saying there about how like when you were at those higher percentile, I was just smothering you and I was making it really hard.
Yeah, I struggle with that a lot.
Honestly, grounded movement, you don't even have to attack sometimes. Kind of just like run, power shield when I'm near you to get the, you know, power shield my option, and then just keep running to force the distance. And then once you get it, maybe throw some side Bs in, get a short hop fair before I get up my attack, or kind of like run in at me, and then use what I was saying against the Mario earlier to kind of use your positioning to bait out an attack and then pivot grab back.
Okay.
You really want to use like that fast, precise movement in conjunction with the power shields to kind of make yourself more mobile and kind of not and have you not get bogged down by their pressure. And I think that's what kind of gives a lot of the Olimars in general problems with, and that's why they struggle with a lot of faster characters and characters who put out a lot of hitboxes. It's just because their movement isn't they're not using their movement in a way to where they're constantly going shield, keep going back.
Right.
Don't try to punish. Put the distance between you guys and then use that to your advantage.
Right. I think a lot of Olimar mains constantly try to like trade out with faster characters.
Yeah.
And I mean, I got a lot of faith in Olimar, but I don't know if he's
No, yeah, and I feel you on that.
Oh, I did not need to do that. Okay, I see what you're saying about the spacing.
Yeah, you're doing it much better this game, which is nice. You just use your movement, keep yourself moving, make it hard.
Would you go for that that nair up smash?
I might have. I think I might have been able to nair out of it with Yoshi. I think I just reacted a bit slow. Oh god. See, at that percent, don't be afraid to pummel a little bit, because you don't have a lot of rage, and Yoshi's on the heavier side. So, you know, if you're not 100% sure it won't kill, pummel a couple times. If you're still not sure, just back throw or forward throw. You know, get your stage position.
I know I definitely should have pummeled with that white.
No, but you're doing much better this stock, just with your movement overall. It's much faster, and it's making it a lot harder for me to catch you.
Okay.
Nice.
Are my purples dying too fast?
No, you're doing alright with them. I mean,
I'm not really getting double purple.
Well, I'm purposefully killing them.
Oh yeah, you do know what to watch out for.
Yeah, like I'm much more keen on killing purples than most players.
Okay.
Oh. Nice. See, that was much better. And you just saw how you were able to just keep yourself moving, and it was so much harder to bog you down, right?
Yeah. I seen what you said about like the spacing a little bit more. Like I think a lot of times I try to trade and into stay in, and it seems, if I, hit, we do a little interaction, back some, and another interaction and move back some, seems to be way more optimal.
It's just a bunch of small micro transactions between you guys that's gonna help you just get in the long run better, because you can't, like, unless you have like double purple, you're not gonna be able to win the like barreling through your opponent option, or you can't take them head on that way. It's all about baiting, having them overcommit in the wrong spot, maybe having them hit a Pikmin, lag them where they normally wouldn't be lagged, and then kind of go in from there and then punish them.
You're right. And I think that's what I try to do. Just try to like rush in there a little bit, way too much in bracket, especially when I'm down some percentage.
Yeah.
Which Pikmin are really good at evening it out, or even putting you ahead.
Yeah. No, I feel you on that. It's really hard to not like feel the need to go in when you're down in the percent or a stock or something like that. In a stock, you kind of have to, but you can really, like, if you've got the time, take your time, figure out exactly how to get your way in there, right? Like, don't force it. If you're gonna force it, you better have the confidence to make that like one read with that up smash and know that you've scared them into it. If not, take your time, figure out your openings, and get in there. But before we get into the next game, I want to talk about the reflectors, how you were mentioning those earlier. So, I think there are a total of 2 that I can think of off the top of my head right now. 2 good reflectors in this game. Mario's is really good. It's a multi-purpose tool in that it stalls him, it turns you around, right, and it reflects. So it's just a good option overall. And then Mewtwo's, because it lingers forever and it's a command grab. Those are 2 really good two really good reflectors. Palutena's meh. Zelda's meh. Fox's is just good because it can stay there forever or whatever. Falco's, it's frame 1, so that's pretty good, but it's got the hitbox on it, which can kind of cancel out anything it reflects. So that's meh. And then Lucas and Ness's is pretty good, but theirs are F smashes. So what you want to do is when you fight a character with a reflector, you want to shift your playstyle from a less smash-oriented one to a more grab and boxing game-oriented one, right? So if you fight a Palutena, just don't use smashes as much. Kind of space around them like you'd use a smash. Maybe supplement it with like a... Oh, what was on my mic? Sorry about that, if you could hear that. Supplement it with maybe some short hop aerials, dash grabs, side Bs, down tilts, and then kind of bait it out using that spacing I was telling you about earlier, how you kind of trick them into thinking you're committing or they can get you at that spacing, and then once they do it, then you can grab them, right? Like if Palutena pushes out that reflector, dash grab it. Your grab's gonna go straight through it. Do those kind of like things to bait it out. It's just like a normal character, but instead of using smashes to punish you, you're going for non-reflectable things as much.
Okay, yeah. And would you still go for the double purples?
I go for double purple in every match, my guy. No, I think it's really good because you can throw purples at certain heights that when they're reflected, they won't hit you. Or let's say you short hop purple side B, right? And then you're fighting a fox and they reflect it. You fall, immediately come down with that forward air, that purple forward air. Yeah. Now they reflected it, but they're still in the lag from it. Or even some reflectors like Mario's cape, you can hit them on the top of their head. It's not like a foolproof reflector, unless it's like Fox or something. Or like Zelda. I don't think the other reflectors have they're not full body, so you can still hit them from certain angles.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
So just change up your playstyle from a less smash oriented one to a more grab boxing game oriented one.
Okay.
After this game, if you want, I can go Olimar for some games, and we can get some dittos in, just so you can get a feel for it.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm dead. Alright, that's fine, that's fine. Watch out on those rolls, how I was saying. So you rolled the same direction I was going. So it's easier for me to hit you with that nair. Kind of use your opponent's positioning and how their movement to get an idea on what you can, how you can, you know, roll and reposition yourself. Because if you're going the same direction as them or you're going back into them, it's going to be much easier for them to hit you, you know?
Right, that's a free punish.
Yep. It's not saying you shouldn't, you know, there's obviously a time for everything, but you need to be careful about it. No purples. Those aren't gonna fly with me. What I did there, so since I hadn't used it all match, I was kind of pressuring with the jabs and down tilts, and I was baiting you into the roll. Or into a since it's security, you're like, alright, it's just a down tilt, it's just a jab, whatever. And then I knew that I'd be able to catch you with the down B because you were going to want to go in, as opposed to out because you were running out of stage position. It's very unintuitive to think when I have little stage, like, when there's a little bit of stage behind you, instead of going back to that corner, you always want to try and push your way to it. That's a natural response of players. So sometimes you have to fight that response and go, it's okay to sit in this corner. It's okay to roll back just a little bit. You don't always have to escape from the corner. You know? Okay. Because sometimes escaping from that corner is exactly what they want, and that's how they make the the roll reads where you roll and they just charge an F smash, turn around and kill you. Things like that.
Right. Right. Can I do a non-Olimar versus your Olimar?
Yeah.
Cool. I got a decent Diddy.
Sure.
Okay. Just to see, how you do your punishes.
Yeah.
And your ranges.
No problem. Oh, I just misspaced that purple side B.
What just happened?
I help aired you.
Oh, out of the up B?
Yep.
And I see some of your punishes, like, they're not even like, really hard punishes, like something a simple side B, and then, back into neutral.
That's perfectly fine to do things like that.
You don't have to rush it, Okay.
Yeah, it's alright. Just get your 1-2 hits, maybe throw them off their footing, you take the momentum. You don't always gotta punish with some super hard hit. And that's kind of like the, It's like the overarching theme of using 2 purples, if you will. It's like small hit into small hit into tech chase until you finally reach that one point where you know you're getting your hard hit, and that's when you finish it.
Right. Okay, we can do one more, then I'll go Oli.
Okay.
Okay.
But did you see how that first game we just played, how it was just me always moving? I just almost never stopped.
Yeah, a lot quicker. Okay. And you still use the nunchuck?
Yeah.
I actually read this article recently about like there's different like DI percent you could actually stay alive.
Yeah. Weed Chuck has better DI angles, or allows for better DI angles on certain angles than a GameCube controller.
Yeah, that was crazy. It had the GameCube like worse.
Yep. It's because
like,
I believe
everybody uses it.
I believe it's because of how the GameCube controller, like how the shell's made that like limits the angle at which your stick can move.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Nice.
Oh, I think I got it.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. Yeah, so another thing there. So did you notice the part where you rolled back? Or like I was chasing after you with the blue in front of my line, and you rolled back and then I just dash grabbed you?
Yeah.
So that's another thing where it's like since you were pretty close to the middle of the stage, your first response was, okay, I need to put distance between us, so you opted to roll backwards. In that instance, I knew that it was likely you were going to roll backwards because of that distance between us, and you saw me running at you. Whereas if you rolled forward, would have beat my dash grab.
Oh.
So when you're...
See, yeah, I was trying to get some time for another banana.
Huh?
I was trying to roll away and get some...
Oh, yeah, to pull another banana, yeah. So, instead of always you want to be careful about when you're doing options like that. Instead of going for the most, like, instinctual response, which is to go to the obvious edge there, maybe go, alright, maybe I'll jump, or maybe I'll stay, I'll roll forward, or maybe I'll spot dodge. You don't always have to go for the obvious option, and that's going to make it a lot harder for your opponent to read you.
Okay.
Alright, we can do a couple more games, with Olimar or whatever else you want, and then I think that'll be the hour, and then I'll get that right up for you later today with the video link, right?
Cool, yeah. I definitely want to watch the video. Are you gonna post it today?
I will send. Yeah, I will start uploading it after I finish streaming. I'll probably send you the write up later tonight, because I have a weekly I go to tonight. But then after that, I can start writing it tonight.
Okay. I definitely learned some new things though. Like, spacing is way more important.
Yes.
Than what I'm giving it to.
Oh, I didn't jump cancel it.
And just about the mix-ups, baby. Mix it up.
So, going back to what I said there, you were at the ledge, and I was pressuring you with an auto-cancel back air. So I threw out the back air. Your first response was, I need to get away from the ledge. You roll in, read it with the F smash.
Yes. I've seen it too. Okay. Some bad habits there.
They're hard to break, man, because it's so second nature to want to do things like that. But
right,
you know, and not to say you shouldn't do it, because there are clearly times where you should, but it's those instances where you have the kill percent where it can really punish you for things like that. See how I'm kind of just like trailing you along right time? And I'm not always throwing out hitboxes, but I'm just like keeping near you for when I can throw out a hitbox.
Yeah. That's crazy that I got hit still.
Yeah.
I put mine out.
That's the ditto for you. And that's kind of like what you have to change your mindset a little bit in the ditto, because normally, you know, you don't your smashes clank and all that, but in this, unless Olimar does a few select moves, they just go through each other and keep going. So it adds a different layer to the matchup that you wouldn't normally get.
Yeah.
Alrighty, let's do one more. Do you want me to stay Olimar, or do you want me to go someone else?
You can stay Alex.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, you gotta be careful of where your side being, because then they can come punish it. Desync that one off your down tilt.
Did I get hit by that down air, or did I drop?
What's up?
I was like, did I just get hit by that down air, or did...
It keeps going out on your second half of your sentence. I'm not sure why. Try it one more time.
I was asking, did I get hit by that down?
Oh my god, it keeps going out. I think you just got hit by the down air though.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, just repeat the last half of the sentence. I already heard the first half, just so it doesn't go out.
Oh, that was it. I was just asking if it,
oh, you got...
if I got hit by that down there.
Okay. Yeah, you did.
I thought I dropped her.
Good games, man. If there's anything I did want to wrap up about the Olimar Ditto, you want to go back to what I was saying about that movement. Keep yourself fast, hard to hit, hard to pin down. You don't always want to be the first one to act, because Olimar can punish a lot of his own stuff on his shield. Double purple really helps alleviate that though, and allows you to apply really safe pressure a lot if you string it together properly. But just using kind of like sitting right outside that range, kind of baiting them into doing something, then punishing. It's kind of like a similar theme to what I was saying earlier. To go through and get your punishes. Using your opponent's Pikmin to your advantage, maybe using them to extend your hitboxes, or, you know, to lag them on their things and things like that. Just keep in mind, Olimar, his Pikmin, his smashes, they don't, since they're projectiles, they do them independently. He doesn't suffer extra hit lag when he hits something with them. The Pikmin will, but Olimar himself won't. Okay. So that's important to keep in mind. But I will, yeah, I'll definitely, when I finish streaming today, I will start uploading the YouTube video of this session for you, and I'll send it to you when I'm done. And then later tonight, when I'm home, I will, I'll do the write-up for you, and I'll send you that with those sets I was talking about. I'll send in some corn ones. I'll see if I can find any good Rob ones. I'm not sure if I know of any good ones off the top of my head. But definitely some corn ones, and maybe just some other, like, high-level sets that will kind of demonstrate what I was talking about with the power shielding and the movement and things like that.
All right.
Alrighty, man. Well, I hope you enjoyed the lesson.
Yes, it was really informative. Thank you.
That's good. As always, man, just feel free to message me and ask me any questions if you have any like specific things you'd like to know. I'm more than happy to answer.
All right. Thank you, man.
No problem, man. I will. I'll talk to you later.
All right. See ya.
Okay, that was fun.